Oh yeah,
Alrighty, here we
we're here.
are, Daniel, back again, Myles and Dan, chat nonsense about
Miles isn't short for anything.
this week, word of the day, random word, alcohol. That's where we're at.
Tastes better in the morning, but it's the afternoon.
Does it taste
Um,
better in the morning?
I don't know. It's a song.
Oh, really?
Yeah, hard alcohol tastes better in the morning.
Would that be like when you've woken up, or is that like because you've been drinking all night?
Uh, I think it's well, just when you wake up.
Okay, wake up,
I
roll
think the
over.
idea of the song is to dull all your senses for the rest of the day because it's going to be so
I
bad.
see. What would be your drink of choice if you had to have a drink of alcohol first thing in the morning when you've woken up? Pre anything. You don't even get a glass of
Um,
water first.
I drink the deliciously sugary teenage alcohol drink, hooch.
Hooch. Okay, I've not heard of that. Is it an alco pop?
Yeah, it tastes like orangeade, and
Okay,
you'd be set for the day
so
then.
you'd just be
It's
doing
pretty
it
much
as like a vitamin intake sort of thing. You'd convince yourself it's
yeah.
just an OJ.
Well, yeah, it's more of a J2. Whoa! Now I'm on my way.
Absolutely.
That's what I was thinking.
Is so J2O is an alcohol.
No,
Okay,
no.
I've never had one.
That's what
Great,
we
though,
never
isn't
had.
it? What's the
Yeah,
J stand for? Juice. Juice
juice,
to
juice to
oxygen.
20. So because there's no actual juice in it, so it's like juice to zero.
Oh right. No, no, it's full of juice and you have to drink it to zero.
To
Juice
zero.
to zero,
I
yeah.
see. I didn't put those two together. I just assumed. Um, I've never. No, I have had a J2O. Used to serve them in the pub. That used to be the non-alcoholics drink of choice. That was the thing I sold most of besides alcohol when I worked in
Did
a
you
pub.
work in a pub? I genuinely never knew that.
I worked in a pub for about a year and a half when I was 19 years old.
Right. In
18 years old.
Birmingham?
In Stourbridge.
Stowbridge.
In, yes, Stourbridge Massive. And yeah, it was okay. I liked it because it was the same people every weekend.
And what people was it? What was the clientele like?
Middle age. There'd be like the younger ones would come in earlier on and then leave to go into town to get to the clubs and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So you'd get a few young people in, sort of the 8 till 10, and then the 10 till 12 crowd was just the hardened alcoholics
Right.
of Stourbridge who just came out on a Saturday because if they didn't go out on a Saturday night, they'd have to stay at home and think about their thoughts, and that could be a dangerous thing, even in 20, 2007, 2007.
Yeah. I guess if the two options are to be in a pub on your own drinking or to be at home on your own drinking, I guess the better one is being in a pub. But
Yeah, financially,
because
no,
I've
but socially,
yeah, no, not
if you're going to be
financially,
enabled,
because I used to drink alone um, when I lived in Manhattan. I used to always drink alone, and there was another guy who would be there. Um, he'd drink alone as well. We were sat like either ends of the bar, and we always used to say, I'd shout out to him. I'd shout out to him. We're sharing a drink I call loneliness, and he'd shout back, "Well, it's better than drinking alone." He sounded a lot like me, but yeah,
did he look like you as well?
quite similar. Yeah,
Are you sure that wasn't a
it
mirror?
might have been a mirror now that I think about it. I was like, the wall's here, but the bar keeps going. I never quite understood it.
I yeah. I for some reason, I thought you were going to do a Cheers joke then, and I was like, "No, it's not Manhattan." I was prepared. I was prepared to be a pedant, but I didn't have to be because that wasn't what you
I
were
went
doing.
Billy Joel, and I added the extra Manhattan detail because he's famously from New York, isn't he? So
He's famous. I think he actually is as well, not just famously. I think he actually is.
I'm confused.
I was just being stupid. I was just implying that famously was different to reality, I think.
Right. Okay.
But it is.
Famously.
It isn't. It is famously
different.
famous. It's just it's famously the same actually. It's just more well known, I think.
Fair.
But never mind. I quite like working in the pub though. I'm surprised you haven't ever. But then
Yeah. I don't know. I
seems
don't know
like
what to say about that. I
you,
worked at a supermarket when I was that age.
I thought you'd have some fun.
Yeah, I had a good time in the
I can
supermarket.
see. Never. I thought. I reckon you'd have more fun in the pub.
Oh, you thought I would
reckon
have?
you'd be like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I spent a lot of time in the pub at that age, and maybe that's why I didn't want to work there because I was too into drinking at the pub, perhaps.
That's true. I managed to have that separation because I used to go back. So I didn't live where I worked in the pub.
Okay.
So I'd be at uni and I would go to all the pub like you. I would be in the pub every other night, and then I would get the bus home to go to work, and somehow that separation made it like, oh, this is a different life.
Yeah, right.
This is like I was managed to separate church and state. So
Which
I
would
think
be
that's
in that scenario? Which would be church and which would be state?
I mean, church would be where I'm worshipping Bacchanal in the pub, and state would be where I'm earning the hard cash.
Got you.
To spend in the church. I think you have to spend money in the church.
You do, yeah.
Right? You have to. Yeah,
and that was God's decision.
It was God's decision. It wasn't.
It was, yeah.
It was. Yeah, you need.
I think my problem is I've always been scared of men. So that's why.
This is something completely different now.
That's why I never joined the church. No, that's why I never wanted to work at a pub.
Okay. Yeah. You mean aggressive?
Just big grown men. Yeah, most of them, I guess. Most of them that are drinking at pubs kind of scare me still to this day, really.
I remember one of the first times we ever went to the pub, but in the first sort of like year and a half maybe of our friendship, you met me in Kentish Town and I went to an Irish bar that is now closed, and me and my wife were waiting for you, and you came in, and I knew straight, like, I find those sort of places funny because I suppose I've been working in the bookies too long, and you were still sort of more wide-eyed, I suppose. Yeah. And you came in and it was just like the pits for you. I remember your face, and you were like, "Can we leave? Yeah. Can I don't even want to have one drink."
The giveaway to what sort of establishment that was, it no longer exists, but was that it had a piece of paper glued to the front door that said, "The toilet's for customers only," which gives you like a glimpse of what most people go into that pub for.
And probably what it's best for.
No, that
you wouldn't mind, but most of them didn't even make it to the toilet.
I might have come around in a place like that, but there's just a lot of nicer pubs in Kentish Town than that one.
There is. It was a particularly bad one that I enjoyed. It was so close to the station.
It was.
It felt right at the time.
Yeah, and it was. And you were there. You had your wife. You were fine.
Exactly. She was protecting me.
Yeah, exactly.
She was doing that. Like in the Warriors, she was just playing with like the flick blade. She was just flicking it in and out.
Yeah.
Spinning it round.
Pulled her nunchucks out of her handbag.
Yeah, just did a quick twirl, show them that she's still got it.
Nice.
Does
she ever? What do you think is the most popular brand of alcohol in the United Kingdom?
In terms of type or brand name?
Brand name, yeah, yeah.
Oh, vodka of some sort?
No, see, that's the thing. I think you got to think about it because vodka would have brands that would cancel each other out.
Yeah, okay. So it's got to be one where if you like that drink, this is the only one that you're getting.
Yeah, it's the name. You think that is the type of drink, the brand name, basically.
Guinness.
No.
Oh, I was sure of myself
I
then
think
as well.
Guinness might be the most popular. I think that falls in the beer category.
Okay.
But no. I think there's a link between the two, maybe. No, maybe not.
Between Guinness and vodka.
No, between Guinness and the answer, but I've just thought about it and I don't think there is.
Oh God. So is it? What proof are we talking? What percentage of alcohol?
No, I was right. There is a connection. 17%. Where's Guinness from?
Ireland. Bailey's.
Bailey's, correct.
I was that. You know what? I almost said Bailey's just straight off the bat, but we wouldn't have had this conversation. I didn't trust myself. Who knew? Bailey's. Got some Bailey's in the fridge. I could down some now for comedic effect, but I won't.
Yeah, I'm not sure that would be comedic effect.
It would be an effect.
Yeah. You try to have a drink and it goes in your eye or something.
It just goes all down, man. And then I smash my head on the glass.
No, actually, go get the Baileys. I'll hold the fort. I think we should do that.
I refuse.
Fair enough. Yeah. I would have too. Yeah, I think it was Bailey's was the most popular, and then Smirnoff was second.
See, Smirnoff was what I was going to go for.
Yeah, right.
Smirnoff's just so... I knew it had to be one of those because not everyone drinks beer, not everyone drinks wine, but those are the sort of ones where everyone has a little go of Baileys, don't they? Everyone can stomach some Baileys.
Mm.
And if you're going to have like a mixer, you have the one that tastes of nothing, which is vodka, of course, which is what makes it so easily mixable with everything. It just tastes like whatever you mix it, if you mix enough of it into whatever.
Exactly, yeah. You just like the taste of Coke.
Just like to, I'm sat next to a bunch of bottles here. Got myself some triple sec actually.
Goodness me, what is that? What's triple sec?
Triple sec is like an orange liqueur that goes into tequila.
Golly.
To make margaritas. I had margaritas at Christmas, mate. No one was going to stop me.
Did you at all?
Christmas Eve.
Margaritas. Golly.
Sophisticated around here, mate. I even put salt around the rim.
I do not need to know about... Oh, of the glass, sorry.
Yeah, and the glass.
Oh. How do you think I got it there?
That isn't right. But yeah, I don't know. Are we going off alcohol, or are we just forcing ourselves to? What's our relationship with alcohol now?
I had a little bit of alcohol at Christmas, but I don't really drink much alcohol anymore. But I drink non-alcoholic beer. So I still like beer, but I drink the non-alcoholic version. So what's my relationship? I don't know. It's complicated.
Is that if it was a Facebook relationship, it would be? It's complicated.
Yeah. And then there's like the whole fact that we can't go out drinking. Well, we can't go out at all. No. So if I was forced into it, forced is the wrong word, but if I was in a situation where I was socializing with my friends, I've been forced to socialize with my friends at a pub, then I'd have to really evaluate what my relationship with alcohol is. Because there's lots of like, it's just muscle memory. It's like friends, pub, got a drink. Like that is just, it's what happens. So
yeah,
and I probably
there's a lot. Yeah, I mean, but there's a lot. It's not like, I think as long as you enjoy it and you don't, and it's not like, I don't know. There's no unless you fundamentally think I don't want to be somebody who has a drink, then I don't think it matters. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not wording it very well.
Yeah, but I think it's too ingrained that once I have a drink, I want to have 6 or 7 drinks.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's probably the bit that I don't want to get to anymore.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, me and you are Duke and Baron of let's have one more. One more.
Yeah, and who's who again? Who? Because it was that they were titles that we
Yeah,
inherited.
we got
they?
them. We inherited them from two people at the Abbey Tavern.
Well, yeah, who turned down a drink, and we're like, "All right, Baron." So you're Baron von Webb.
Yeah, and you're the Duke de Burgess.
I'm Duke de Burgess. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, that is true. But this is what I mean. That's more. That's not. It's never for the sake of drinking, though, is it? It's all a part of the whole experience and the good time. It's like we can't be like, we're having a great conversation. Let's just stay here and keep talking. It's like, well, this is all great, so the drinking must be part of that.
Yeah, the muscle memory is. Yeah, you facilitate the continued social lubrication of the happening by making sure that there's not the empty glasses of shame that persist in the UK. I think in America it's much more acceptable to just sit there with an empty glass and be like, you paid your money, you can sit there as long as you want, as long as someone's not like waiting to get in your desperate to get in your seat, I suppose. But like,
that would make sense.
I've seen people in America just sit there with it for an hour with like that much left in their glass, and they just absolutely own it.
But then they'll never get a title that way.
Exactly, but they don't know that. Do they? They just they do what they can.
Good luck to them.
And good luck to them. I've got a little bit about the history of alcohol.
Great.
I've got encyclopedia.com. Can
always count on old Baron von Webbington to bring up a bit.
Absolutely. I mean, it's quite beige in a lot of ways, this history, but I've enjoyed it. It goes through a general introduction about saying that alcohol's always played a role in religion, economics, sex, politics, and many other aspects of societies.
Okay.
Whatever people could do drunk, I presume. Carpentry. So, bizarrely, the second paragraph says, the way people feel about their alcohol consumption may have little to do with its actual impact on the body. In much of France and Italy, for example, people think of wine as food. Do they? Is that true? Not sure if they do.
That sounds like a bad translation somewhere.
It's encyclopedia.com. It's got, what I like is that it's like dictionary.com in that it actually has no one of any notoriety monitoring this situation. So like dictionary.com, you should go on like the Collins or the Oxford, the OED or Merriam-Webster or something like that. Or if you want to go to Encyclopedia, you should go to Britannica. Don't go to encyclopedia.com. Many Scandinavians and Germans...
I mean, does Britannica even exist anymore? They must have had a rough, whatever it is, 20 years?
20 years. What, like the encyclopedia salesman?
Oh, no, I'm thinking of Encarta.
Encarta? Oh, that was the CD-ROM ones, wasn't it?
Remember Encarta?
Yeah, they should have... Surely they...
That was the only option to learn anything.
Exactly, and now everyone learns from a site that is moderated by anyone at any time and doesn't cost anything other than to host it.
Mm-hmm.
That's worrying.
Got me through uni. Sort of.
Never do your references. We were probably at the end of that stage where I'm sure they had to start telling more and more people after we left education. Like, you can't use Wikipedia as a reference for anything. But as we know, it is a great resource to find some useless piece of information to write stand-up about. So
good.
And you don't have to fact-check stand-up.
And that's a fact.
And that is a fact that you can check. In the United States, many people who regularly drink beer in large quantities do not think of themselves as using alcohol. Don't think that's true either. So
what is this?
It's the worst.
Is this someone's like, oh, I need to justify my alcoholism. I'm going to start up an encyclopedia website.
Exactly. It's like they started with this and then they just built the other ones. The other ones are varying degrees of mental. Yeah. They're just like half of it's in caps.
Has he written one that is like if your wife and children leave you because you drink too much, it's a sign you're a good person.
I mean, we're getting to that. We'll probably get to the end. He goes in, he name checks some famous alcoholics and then justifies them later on in this article. So we'll
Great.
see. So he says, "Oh, this is going to be a brief review of the history of drinking." So then it's in ancient times. Throughout history, people have viewed alcohol as a substance that nourishes and gives comfort. Of course, it does, mate. Many societies and cultures have even thought that alcohol possesses supernatural powers. And that's how I learned to levitate. According to the Bible, one of the first things Noah did after the Great Flood was plant a vineyard. That's his fact. He's justifying the fact that he's... it would have been made more sense if he'd said that he cracked a cold one or something like that, but he's gone for a vineyard. And he puts Genesis 9:21 in brackets there. The ancient Egyptians...
Moses took the top off a frothy.
Exactly, yeah. And I think it's famous that when Moses came down from Mount Sinai, he had the Ten Commandments under one arm and a six-pack under the other. I think it's pretty sure.
Yeah, it was on his shoulder. It was a whole case.
The ancient Egyptians believed that the great god Osiris taught them how to make beer, a substance that had great religious as well as nutritional value for them. Beer was buried in royal tombs and offered to the deities. And then Greeks drank wine as a form of worship. This is all self-justification, I think, on his part. Again, crass generalisations in this article. Even to this day, beer continues to be the most important... even to this day, beer continues to be an important part of the diet of most Indians. I'm not sure about that, mate. I'm not sure where you're getting your facts there. And then he talks about sediments, and he goes into how there's definitely vitamins and minerals in them, and that they could be secured for a long time if it was sealed. And then he says, people have been drinking since 3,500 BCE. They found sediments in pots in Mesopotamia. This discovery makes alcohol almost as old as farming. So why shouldn't I get drunk every single night? However, by studying the different styles of wine vessels from various regions, we've learned about how goods were transported from one region to another during ancient times. Which is nice, isn't it? So, what was that?
What happened?
I don't know. Weird noise. But yeah, then he goes into religious practices. He says that he basically goes through all the continents and says that they all love alcohol, and he gets into hops. He's a bit damning of the Buddha and Confucius because they were they were temperate and sometimes abstinent. He goes into why they're no fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just has a simple sentence after that says, "Others also look down on drinking." No.
Like my sister-in-law.
Yeah, like all my in-laws, in fact. It seemed to think it's some sort of. And I pointed him out to this website. Yeah. That soon shut him up.
She's so stuck up she could use a drink.
Yeah, and he goes through everything. It's a very in-depth article. Goes into pasteurization. The 18th Amendment to the Constitution forbade commercial sales of alcohol, but said nothing about drinking or possession. He's found the loophole in prohibition.
Wow. He's like, if only I could go back.
He would have been fine. So I love the fact that maybe his wife said, like, you should live by the 18th Amendment, and he's just like, no, I'm not selling it. I'm just going to drink it.
He's the sort of guy who gets drunk at the bar, and he really wants to tell you this thing that he knows about prohibition. He's like, all right, speak to me like it's prohibition. Go, tell me I can't drink because it's prohibition. Pretend, all right? No. Just pretend. Just say to me, You can't drink because it's the prohibition and it's the old times, and the prohibition says that you can't drink because it's the old times.
All right, mate. Yeah, tell me about prohibition then. You can't
Oh,
drink.
you only said you can't sell it.
And then he just stumbles off to the toilet, and he's gone for
Someone else.
20 to 25 minutes. He then goes into how the stock market crash caused worldwide economic depression. And then he's just said, Americans became angry about prohibition, and some of the same influential people who demanded it now called for it to end. They knew what was good for them. The 21st Amendment, the first and only repeal to affect the US Constitution, ended federal prohibition in 1933. Specific regulations about retail sales were left up to the states. And then he goes into how, after World War II, Alcoholics Anonymous started. And has he got anything negative to say about that? Oh.
So why was there prohibition to begin with?
Religious objections to drinking and unproven medical. He says unproven medical claims, but I'm not sure about that. Unproven medical.
Really? Okay.
About its dangers, resulting in a nationwide prohibition. So yeah, it was because you got to think like American society was still like the whole thing was laid out on Protestant Christian terms. Like, that's what it was. That's what the whole formulation was. You know, the society was made from. So by the time they got like they were only 150 years old by the time 1919 came. So it's no wonder that they decided that it was illegal once people had enough money to start spending it on it. So.
The man.
The man. We'll skip to his conclusion.
Go for it.
He seems to come round. He's sort of reasoning, but he's not trying to justify it to himself anymore. Research has shown a relationship between the amount of alcohol people drink and a broad range of alcohol-related problems, including domestic violence, child neglect, social violence, psychiatric illness, physical illness, and traffic fatalities. It's important to remember, however, that those who enjoy moderate drinking have little in common with those who insist on drinking heavily. Alcohol can be a safe and enjoyable part of life when people understand not only the effects of alcohol, but also what they expect to get from their drinking. So let me get on with my drinking. So just leave.
And that's why I think you should consider taking me back, or at least letting me see the kids every other weekend.
Cheers, Steve. It's
good. It's just a bloke who loves alcohol. Good on him. That needs a passion.
And if you're forced to start an encyclopedia.com page to show everyone that passion, then so be it.
Share it with the world. Exactly.
Yeah, the National Geographic one I found was much, ironically, drier.
Okay.
Than that one, so didn't have much enjoyment. Lots of pictures on the National Geographic of people holding up old things that people drank out of. Like that's proof.
Oh, okay. It's more just a exploration of drinking vessels.
Yeah, it was more like it's just like cups and mugs.
Yeah.
The history of cups and mugs.
Oh, and in 1633 they added a handle. 1633? Who says years like that?
I don't know. You know, apparently. No. Well, it's a new year. You can say he is however you want.
Thank you, Dan.
I'll allow it. Do you feel enlightened?
Absolutely. Did I give you my were you at my booze quiz earlier this year? No, wait, last year?
Booze quiz. I don't think that I was.
Okay. Do you want to play a game?
100%. Do I want to play a game? Yes.
I've got a game. It's called Cock or Crock.
Jesus.
Good name.
Yep.
I'm going to give you the names of 5 different cocktails.
Oh, Okay.
And you have to tell me if it's a real cocktail, a cock, or if it's one that I made up, a crock.
A crocker.
And you're right. It's a good name. Well done.
Thank you. Do you?
You're welcome. Thank you. So first up, I'm going to tell you the cocktail name and the ingredients.
Oh, the ingredients as well. You've made up ingredients. This is a fully fledged.
Well, maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Maybe I'm just giving you 5 real. Maybe it's just going to be martini, margarita.
It's really famous ones.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I should specify. They're all cocktails that are named after celebrities.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Okay. So the first one is the Murray cane, which is named after Bill Murray.
Oh.
And that's bourbon and watermelon juice.
Bourbon and watermelon juice.
Is that a cock or is it a crock?
The Murray cane. No.
Kind of like hurricane?
Yeah.
Hurricane?
Now, why would it be bourbon and watermelon juice? Does he famously drink that in something? I'm scanning my brain for memories and I've found none. But I'm going to say it is a cocktail.
Ah, you're good. It's a cocktail.
Yeah.
I don't have any further information.
No further information
because
required.
I made this quiz about a year ago, so I can't tell you like, oh, Bill Murray designed it himself because he loves watermelon juice or anything like that. I don't have that information to hand.
It's all right. We can go into that sort of stuff after this. I've got a quick go round.
Okay, good. Second up, we've got the Dirty Mark Horberg. Dirty Mark Horberg, which is a sex on the beach cocktail with a shot of Irish whiskey.
That would be foul, wouldn't it?
I don't know. What's the sex on the beach?
Sex on the beach. It's peach schnapps.
Okay. Well, I guess it is called a Dirty Mark Hawk, so maybe it's supposed to be foul. And it's like Irish whiskey, Boston, Ireland. That's the name of the country that you're from if you're Irish.
No.
You don't think?
I don't accept it. It's a crock.
Wow. Interesting.
Okay.
Will he regret that answer? Well, that depends.
I don't think I will.
If he wanted to get it right, because it is right.
Yeah. I regret it. I regret everything.
I made it up.
I went to the bar over the road from the first incarnation of Wahlburgers.
Oh, really?
When I was in Boston. I didn't go into Wahlburgers because I don't eat the meat.
Like, what sort of moment do you think that was for Mark Wahlberg when he had that epiphany? He was like, do you think he just woke up in the middle of the night? He's like, Wahlburgers!
I mean, somebody in his family must have.
Yeah.
They're just burgers. And then somebody shouted out, Wahlburger! And then they just synced up at the same time and he went...
Yeah.
And then he just ran out. Flipping.
He'd never thought of it before. And then just some waiter said, oh, Wahlburger, no worries, coming right up. He was an Australian waiter.
He was just in Burger King as well.
Yeah. Mark Wahlberg famously always wakes up in the middle of the night.
Famously?
Yeah, doesn't he get up at like 3 a.m. or something?
I think he shared his workout routine, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was terrifying.
It was absurd, and
yeah. Only what a psychopath. He like goes to bed at like 7 or something in the evening, doesn't he? Yeah.
It's the schedule of a man whose wife takes care of all the domestic duties, which is fine, you know. He makes a lot of money, Mark Wahlberg. He's got this arrangement. It's not a problem, but I don't know when he's seeing his kids. Maybe he does get to see them in the morning or something like that.
Bleary-eyed.
Yeah.
His muscles all tensed up.
There's something absurd. It's like he wakes up at 3 a.m. and he does a workout, and then at like 6 a.m. he hits 100 golf balls or something like that whilst reading new scripts or something like that.
How can you hit golf balls and read scripts at the same time?
Yeah, maybe the script reading is between. Maybe that's. I don't know. It's a good question. I'd like to see
Somebody's
it.
got to be helping him with that. Somebody's helping him with
I
that.
hope that's the sort of multitasking he's doing. He's just one hand golfing. He's got a little minion who just puts the new ball on the tee. And he's like, "Don't get in the way of my swing. I've got a flow." To be or not to be? He's reading the script for Hamlet, I think. Is that Hamlet?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Wahlberg wants to get into some Shakespeare.
But he's reading it like it's a new one, like it's a new film script.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, that's good."
Honestly, this is as good as what's that English bloke's name?
Yeah. He's like, he's got a dictaphone going as well. And he's like, note to self, maybe this should be, should I be or shouldn't I be?
That's a better question.
All right, next up.
Okay.
Cocktail number 3.
It's
the Mel Gibson bipolar cocktail. Gin, vodka, tequila, rum, red wine, Coca-Cola.
That, if it is real, it's horrible. What are the ingredients again? Red wine, Coke.
Gin, vodka, tequila, rum, red wine, Coca-Cola.
That's purely to get drunk.
I think it's going to work because, like you say, you got all those white alcohols that are just much of a muchness. I mean, it's certainly going to get you shit tanked. And then red wine and Coca-Cola mix okay together as a flavor pairing. So I think you're going to be annihilated, but I don't think you're going to throw it straight back up.
All right, you've convinced me with your jive talk about its potential flavour capabilities, but I'm still saying no.
Oh, okay, good. I thought my salesmanship had accidentally got me in a tangle here. No, that's a real one. Apparently.
Never double bluff.
I mean, this basically just means that someone at a bar somewhere has gone, oh, let's put all these together and name it the Mel Gibson, but it's not something that came out of my imagination.
You did a good job of selling it to me, though.
Thank
I
you.
almost thought about ordering one then.
Yeah, I remember a Portuguese man told me to drink red wine and Coca-Cola. And he was very passionate about it. He said, it's our national drink. He didn't sound like that. Oh, mate, you're going to love it. It's our national drink. I think...
Was he played by Dick Van Dyke?
Yeah. I was almost going to try for Portuguese. And I thought, 1, no idea. And 2, will definitely be offensive.
You did the right thing.
I guess it's just Spanish, isn't it? Oh.
just when you think he hasn't offended anybody. Oh no!
All right,
we need to have that like wah wah klaxon for when you're going to offend somebody every stream.
Yeah.
Just we get to a certain point and then you go wah wah and it's just a freeze frame of your face going.
Yeah, just a clack. Yeah. That would be fun. I think. That would be entertaining.
If we had these capabilities,
yeah,
I'm sure we could get more people involved if we had bells and whistles going everywhere.
If only our technical capabilities were on par with my capabilities to be offensive inadvertently.
God, the sky would be the limit.
One day, Webby. All right, next up, number 4. This one's too good not to be true. The Obama-tini. Which is gin with lemon and pineapple juice. Presumably an homage to his Hawaii roots.
Obama-tini. In lemon and pineapple. Am I being tricked by the fact that you said it's too good not to be true? potentially leading language. Got to take apart the psychological component first before I answer. Gonna say it's a double bluff. It is a real one.
Oh. I'm going to reveal the answer after the fifth cocktail.
Oh.
Because I don't want you to be going like, oh, he's done this many true, he's done this many false. So the last cocktail, the Lindsay Loaded, it's spelled LOH-DED, the Lindsay Loaded, and that's gin, vodka, and 2 cherries.
Gin, vodka, and 2 cherries.
2 cherries, one for each alcohol. The Lindsay Loaded with an optional bit of cherry liqueur as well.
No, there's no such thing as optional in a cocktail, mate. It is or it isn't.
It is for this one. No, okay, it's not. But it's for the because she's got red hair.
It would make more sense to have ginger ale in it.
No, because it's Lindsay Lohan. She gets loaded. You're not putting ginger ale.
You keep shrinking in the chat. You keep shrinking on the stream, mate.
Oh yes.
I keep pressing it, but
is it?
I keep pulling it back, but
is it because I keep going off Skype to a Word doc, perhaps?
Maybe. Do it again.
Just done.
Nah, didn't do it this time.
Just did it. Okay. So you're saying the Obama-tini is a cocktail, and the Lindsay Loaded you're saying is a cocktail as well?
It's definitely not a cocktail. 2 cherries.
What?
2 cherries, calling you out on it. Just gin and vodka together, that's just a psychopathic thing to do.
But there's 2 cherries.
And the idea of
one cherry for each alcohol.
And the idea of
if you had a gin with a cherry in it, you'd be like, weird drink choice, but you're not a psychopath. You wouldn't say you're a psychopath. And the same with you had vodka with a cherry in it, you'd be like, actually, prefer it. Makes a bit of cherry flavour in my vodka. Delicious, lovely. So just put the 2 together because you're Lindsay Loaded. What do you think?
Absolutely not. Calling you out on it.
You're sticking with not.
It's not a drink. That isn't a drink. That's a sentence.
Barely. All right. You got 4 out of 5. Obama-tini's a cocktail. Lindsay Loaded is not yet a cocktail, but it will be as soon as I start a bar.
I mean, you sell it all you want, mate. You see if you're going to get people to bite on that.
I know. It'd be like, you remember she was that girl who was in films 20 years ago? Well, there was this stage, you probably weren't born yet, but she liked to drink for a while.
Yeah, it's not going to be like naming a drink after Oliver Reed or somebody like that, or George Best. I don't think she's going to go down in the pantheon of alcoholics that should have drinks named after him.
True.
I don't believe in it. I've got a little quiz on why cocktails are called certain things. If you want to go for that.
Cool. Yeah, that follows on nicely.
If you want to hypothesize, you talked about Sex on the Beach earlier. Why is it called Sex on the Beach? Why is it called Sex on the Beach? What reasoning could they possibly have for naming a drink Sex on the Beach? They don't put bloody sand in it, do they? Or do they?
No, they don't put sand on it, which makes me think that it's probably served by a beach. Does it have some sort of natural aphrodisiac in it?
An oyster.
Is that oyster in Sex on the Beach? A bit of oyster in there. There's your beach flavour as well.
I've always been to places where they put just you have a condom swirling around in it. That's the way I've always had it.
Oh right.
So
it's salt water with a used condom.
That's what Sex on the Beach has always tasted like to me.
Yummy.
Apparently, it was invented during spring break in the US in 1987 in a Florida bar. The urban legend is that a peach schnapps distributor wanted to sell as much of this peach schnapps as possible. So he went to all these bars and he was like, make up a drink with these in, and the one who sells the most gets a prize. And a guy came up with that vodka, orange juice, grenadine, and then called it Sex on the Beach as a tribute to the things that people liked about Florida spring break the most. The sex.
Yeah, 100%. That is almost exactly what I would have thought it was.
Yeah. Just the element of competition. It sounds like a competition winning name, doesn't it? Sounds like Boaty McBoatface.
Yeah.
Okay, the screwdriver.
I remember when we were kids, we went camping, and there was 2 families, 5 kids, my brother and I, and the other family had 3 kids, and we had a competition to name the kookaburra, the local kookaburra, the bird. And my brother won the competition because he named it Eye on the Cook, because the kookaburra was keeping his eye on the chef to get the food, but also he's a kookaburra. Actually, I've only just realised the double meaning, literally today. I thought it was just that he had his eye on the cook because the cook was going to make the food.
But he was also...
My 6-year-old brother was a genius. I am now 34 and I'm at the same intellectual level as he was when he was 6. That's incredible.
He really is. He's a marvel. I called him the Mozart of kookaburra names, I think.
Kookaburra names, yeah, exactly.
I mean, after that, he got picked up for a scholarship and he got took to the zoo and he had to name all of them, didn't he? I think.
Just name them all, yeah. But then, because he was so young, by the time he was like 17, he was all washed up. And he's like, I can't name another fucking kookaburra. He went through a really dark stage.
He kept just and then they eventually found him just in a sanctuary, a bird sanctuary, just doing the kookaburra laugh over and over again in the corner.
Yeah.
It's a sad day for him, really.
But I remember as well that, because I remember he got a certificate coming up with the best name. So my dad was like a primary school teacher. I think he had a printer. This would have been like mid-90s, I suppose. But I remember that I was told, but it must have been after the fact, but I was told that I'd come second because I'm so disgustingly competitive. I was like, fair enough, Eye on the Cook, it's a great name. He was hungry, I get it. But my name was, the name I gave was Rocket. Pretty good name.
Yeah. But
I remember getting like a silver medal certificate, obviously after the camping trip had finished.
Because you wouldn't stop going on about it.
Oh, Rocket's a pretty good name. Should we say, in case anything happens to Eye on the Cook, Rocket will take over?
If anything happens to the name, if he decides he doesn't like it. And just imagine every single kookaburra you see, you're like, oh, what are we going to call that one? Oh, just give it a rest. He's like, oh, I've got to win something. They had to give him to you.
Or it's just different things. Oh, what about name the tree? Name the tree, guys. Barkface. Barkface.
I don't like that. You were at that. Yeah. You were at that level. Like, your brother would be coming out with Barkface, and you'd just be calling it like, let's call him Straight Up.
I'd be like, Rocket. Like if he fell over really fast.
Excellent. We'll put all that you've learned over the past 34 years to explain why the cocktail screwdriver would have got its name.
Is it? What's a screwdriver? Is it something to do with the thing that goes in it?
It's vodka orange juice, pretty much.
Oh.
It's pretty much the same as another cocktail that I'm going to bring up shortly.
Okay. It was because that was Jesus' cocktail of choice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was a carpenter. He used a screwdriver.
So you're saying he did what with it?
He was like, this needs a name, and he looks around and he goes, oh, screwdriver. He just threw his screwdriver on the ground. He's like, oh, say what I say.
Yeah, he had. I think he was the first one to use a Phillips, wasn't he? popularly. That's why the structures were so sturdy.
Exactly.
You're close. It's not Jesus, but it
Do you know how he came up with a name for that as
yeah.
well? There was a leper named Philip, and his head fell off.
So it was just a
and
straight line.
and he's just like, this needs a name. Oh, Philip's head. Oh, great. He just always says what he sees. Jesus.
He saw what he saw. He said what he saw, and he
He always saw what he saw.
and he said what he saw.
Go on.
Yeah, it's just a group of American engineers apparently were working in a Turkish oil field, and they used to secretly add vodka to their orange juice when they were working on the site, and they would mix it up with the help of a screwdriver.
Gotcha.
So that's what it is. They do that, and then they would pretend, and then of course there were several people killed, and the oil fields in Turkey all just destroyed because everyone was absolutely tossered.
Shit tight. Yeah.
Tom Collins. Why would Tom Collins be called a Tom Collins? This is my favourite story.
Okay.
My favourite one.
Was it like a it was like an alcoholic husband. He's like, oh, I'm just going to play squash with my friend Tom Collins from accounting, and he just made up this story, but he'd drink whatever's in a Tom Collins. Is it like vodka and soda or something? What's a Tom Collins?
It is gin and it doesn't say it in here. It's gin and something, isn't it? Hold on. Oh,
I think it's gin and Tom Collins mixture.
Tom Collins mixture. Yeah. Is it cough medicine? Gin, lemon, sugar, soda water.
Okay.
So not far off Tom Collins. I think that's what Tom Collins mixture is. Soda. Yeah. Apparently in 1874 there was this prank going around in New York where people used to tell their friends that somebody in a bar called Tom Collins had been talking the shit about him. So you'd be like, I was down the bush and that guy Tom Collins was talking about you. And apparently people would just go in and then go, oh, where's Tom Collins? Have you seen Tom Collins? And one of the bartenders apparently got so sick of this joke that he just gave him a drink and went, there you go. And thus the name of the Tom Collins wellness club.
I would say I wasn't too far off.
Yeah, it was
a made up person.
Yeah, a made up person. You pretty much, nailed it.
I'm a genius.
I'm a genius.
I'm a genius. Carry on.
An adaptation of the screwdriver, the Harvey Wallbanger.
Yeah. Okay.
This one probably is. You can probably guess this one exactly as is.
There was a guy named Harvey, and he was banging on a wall.
Sort of.
Using a screwdriver.
And he was drunk.
What did you say? I can probably get. Is it similar to a screwdriver?
Yeah, I mean, you've already hit a lot of the keywords.
Right. Okay. I rest my case.
Shut the suitcase. Apparently, a Southern Californian bartender, Donato Anton, had a frequent customer named Harvey, and he was known. He used to buy a screwdriver and add Galliano, a herbal liqueur, into it. And apparently, he used to get extremely drunk on these, and then he would stumble into the walls on the way out, and they started calling it a Harvey Wallbanger because he would get leathered on it.
So that's what a Harvey Wallbanger is. It's a screwdriver with Galliano.
Yeah.
That sounds vile.
It doesn't sound very nice, does it? I think when I've had one, it was just orange juice and vodka. I don't think it had a herbal taste.
That sounds like a screwdriver.
Yeah, it was a screwdriver. But I think it was called a Harvey Wallbanger.
From what I've learned in the last 20 minutes, it sounds like you got given a screwdriver, mate.
I got Harvey Wallbanged. Yeah. I think that's what they call it when you get a screwdriver instead of a Harvey Wallbanger.
No, that's when the bartender's name's Harvey, he tries to sell you a Harvey Wallbanger, but he gives you a screwdriver and you're fucking... bang him against the wall, with your violent streak.
There's things with which I will not put up, and being misserved drinks is one of those.
That sounded like another line from Mark Wahlberg's new Shakespeare film.
Up with things with which I will not
things
put.
which I will not.
Yeah, I think in this new version of Hamlet, he's actually the owner of a large alcohol empire. It's like the Aki Kaurismäki Finnish version of Hamlet, which is the best one.
What?
There's a Finnish film director called Aki Kaurismäki, and
oh god, I know, because you never stop fucking talking about him.
he's a good guy. Also a bit of an alcoholic, I believe. So,
do you know what Mark Wahlberg's alcohol empire is called?
Go on.
Harvey Wahlburgers.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It is.
Thanks for clarifying. I always have to have it confirmed. Where was I? Who am I? The Aki Kaurismäki did the Hamlet. He did the Hamlet, but because he's a legend, it wasn't about no Prince of Denmark. It was the owner of a rubber duck factory. That is all.
Okay.
And it's excellent.
Sounds a bit too mainstream for me.
You like the Guernsey potato pie?
Oh, there's no need for that, mate. There's no need to have a low blow at the Guernsey potato pie factory. All right?
It's the book club pie society.
I confided in you that I enjoyed a nice, easygoing meal in film form.
It seems to me like you don't even know what it was. When you were coming up.
Sensory experience.
Was it? Did you have pie at the same time?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
I do like potato, though. Side note.
Right, we've got two more. We've got Mai Tai. Why would a Mai Tai be called a Mai Tai? I'll give you a clue. It's nothing to do with Thailand.
Is it not? Okay. So it must be to do with neckties.
Neckties.
It must be. Yeah, it must have been like someone made a drink. A bartender made an original cocktail. He's like, untitled, work in progress.
Untitled.
Yeah, and then he put it on the bar, and this drunk guy, he was just gotten off work. He was a drunk guy. He was a bit sloshed, I was going to say.
But he
was drunk and sloshed.
Jesus.
And he just was sort of all over the place. And then the lady who had been given the untitled cocktail looked down, and she was like, "Whose tie is this?" And the drunk guy's tie was in her drink. And he was like, "That's my tie." And then he went, and he slammed down her drink, and he went, "That was my tie." And that was it? Is that it?
It is. The only thing you've missed is that he, at that exact moment, the jukebox kicked in with Frank Sinatra's "My Way," and he ended that before he collapsed out the back door.
Yeah, and he went, "I did it, my tie."
I don't need to read it out. It's exactly right.
That was his thing. Whenever "My Way" came on, he'd always say "my" something else.
My wife. My car. Now I've run out of things. I can't think of any more names.
Wi-Fi.
My Wi-Fi. I think somebody should make a drink called that. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite right. I was sort of humouring you there. It wasn't really the story. Apparently, it was created one afternoon in the Trader Vic's restaurant in California. Apparently, he'd got one of his Tahitian friends who he made them a drink. He made up a cocktail for them with
Tahitian.
Tahitian.
Sorry, Tahitian. Right.
Bless me.
I thought you were talking about the Renaissance artist.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't making a drink for Titian. That would be.
Okay.
Bloody love that one you did of the bird with the clothes off.
What's the one that's got a bit of like a summery vibe to it? Titian was Australian too.
Yeah. Bloody. Get you another one, Tish. Yeah. What happened then? No, close.
Cool. Tahitian.
Yeah. Bless you.
Thank you.
Ended up accidentally naming the drink because they were like, "Oh, Mai Tai," and that apparently means good or nice in Tahitian. Bless me.
Oh, really?
And that's the only reason why they kept it. He was like, "Oh yeah, Mai Tai, great." I don't know why he's Australian now as well. So.
Okay. Again,
You were...
I feel like I was close. A guy said Mai Tai. Like, I feel like I did better at this round than I expected.
I think you've been.
I feel like for someone who tried to make up all the answers, I got remarkably close. Maybe that's what I should have done with the Kookaburra naming contest.
Exactly.
I should have just gone, what's the furthest name from what he should have been named?
This is the thing. You've learned so much over these years.
I have.
Learned so much. You know all about naming things now.
I really do. I'm a changed man.
You are a changed man.
Well, that was good. I do feel like I learned a lot there.
One of my favourite things I learned while sort of looking this stuff up was how many of these cocktails have what to call it, sort of questionable origins, or like the names of them aren't quite remembered, and it's just such a justified thing for like booze, and it really made me laugh. It's like some people know, some people say it's this, some people say it's that. We don't really know. Everyone who made the drink and bought the drink and drank the drink and got involved with it, they were all leathered for 35 years, and we just ended up calling it that, and we have no idea why. It's just what it is.
Yeah. It's like old friends' nicknames. You're like, I don't know.
I can't remember. Why do we call you bisexual, Bob?
Yeah. Shit-stained Pete. I don't know. Maybe he did a painting at once. I don't know.
But yes, it amused me no end to find that half of the names were... even some of those are probably questionable in terms of their veracity, but those are generally accepted as the urban legends of what they're called.
Definitely. Well, do you want to take part in the drinking Olympics?
Do I? I mean, I've been there a couple of times. Came fourth in one of the competitions, but
did you?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you'll be more. You're not going to be a participant. You're just going to be a commentator, presenter. You're going to tell us how it plays out.
Okay, thank you.
So we've got it's a knockout competition. We've got 16 competitors.
16, okay.
16, yeah, and you're going to tell us. And it's going to be 1-on-1.
Right.
And the rules are thus: it's last man standing in each contest, and they go drink for drink. So the first person will choose the drink and they both have to drink it, and the next person chooses the drink and they both have to drink it. So I'm just going to give you the two competitors each time, and you're going to tell me who wins. And you don't have to go through the whole thing, but maybe what is the drink that they win it on eventually. Maybe talk us through the matchup a little bit. Is there any like subterfuge at play or anything, or are they above board and just one was a stronger drinker than the other? And then we'll get to the grand final for the gold medal.
I can see it all. Okay. I'm looking forward to it. I'm one of those classic commentators that didn't do that well myself in the drinking Olympics, and now I'm here giving my 2 cents.
Whilst deep down thinking, how can I possibly judge these people?
Yeah,
so much better.
Deep underlying insecurity that comes out in a sort of bland confidence.
Yeah, So in the first round,
Yeah.
the competitors have sort of been matched up on their sort of uh, you know their field, what they're famous for, or whatever, and then in the second round it'll sort of cross over a bit more, get a bit interesting. So anyway, the first matchup we've got Mel Gibson up against Charlie Sheen.
Mel Gibson versus Charlie Sheen. Right.
Who's taking that out, and how are they coming to victory?
Okay. Mel Gibson's going to start strong. Mel Gibson's coming straight out. He's picking something particularly anti-Semitic, like a whiskey.
Okay.
He. But they're going to go toe for toe for quite some time. There's going to be a lot of chat. There's going to be a lot of. This is going to be one of those fights where there's going to be some spitballing. There's going to be a lot of said. There's going to be a lot of slights on people's character. Yeah. Mel Gibson's probably going to bring up that time that Charlie Sheen was naked in a hotel corridor, screaming at the maid and going particularly.
Okay. So mind games.
Yeah, definitely. Right. And then Charlie's going to keep bringing up that Mel Gibson's going to drive home and say something anti-Semitic to a policeman in his car. He's going to keep saying, "Oh, you're going to fail. You're going to fail." But the real crux of it is Charlie orders a Long Island iced tea. These two have been going for a while. This could have been the final, is all I'm saying. This could have been the final straight out the bat, round one.
Wow. Such a big statement off the first game.
You don't know. Like, these two, they are professional drinkers. They're professional drinkers, but he orders a Long Island iced tea, and he wins when he makes Mel Gibson sick by saying that even though it was clearly anti-Jewish, Passion of the Christ is not just anti-Semitic, it is a crap film. Gibson just regurgitates his entire creative career onto the table. Sheen stands up, and it turns out the entire time he's not been wearing trousers during the competition. He just stands up, and his flaccid member is flopped in front of Mel Gibson's sicky face.
Amazing! I'd say that's an underdog victory. You're Charlie Sheen.
He's going for. He's so committed, and even with his HIV positive attitude, he's managed to see it through. I think if anything, his medication for that is just spurring him on.
Amazing. Well, I'm impressed. All right. So the next first round matchup, we've got Winston Churchill up against Boris Yeltsin.
Ooh. This is going to be a drier affair.
Okay.
And I don't mean booze-wise.
No, that's the only way it's not going to be drier.
Yeah. They're all going to be short drinks, though. No one's down in pints in this one.
No.
It's going to be back and forth. They're both quite rigid men as well. So.
And is it sort of like, is there some patriotism at play? Like Boris will only get vodkas and Winston will only get fucking brandy or whatever posh English people drink.
Exactly, yeah. I'm thinking Boris is ordering White Russians every single time.
Yeah, okay.
And old Churchy's ordering Winnie. He's ordering, Scotch whiskey with just a little bit of water.
And are there some rumblings that Winston might be lactose intolerant? Is that what's put Boris onto the White Russians?
I presume so. Like you never really know. Like Boris was a very tactical man. Like he was very sort of underhand in the way that he, continued to rule Russia after the Soviet Union fell. I think he'd look up to Churchill. I think he'd be somebody that he'd be looking up to, but that'd make him only more determined to drink him under the table. I think there'd be a lot of stories being like they'd be bigging up their political careers again.
Do you think this might be one where by the end the competitors have a mutual respect for each other and perhaps a friendship blossoms, or do you think that's not really what's going to happen here?
I think so. Yeah, I think you might. I think you might be right. I don't think there's going to be There's not going to be the shit stirring that there was between Mel and Charlie. I think this is going to be
No.
one where they're going to probably. They've got a lot in common. They've both been in politics. Boris is going to bring up. He's going to tell Winston Churchill why he was laughing so much at Bill Clinton when they were stood together outside. He's going to tell him
Right.
that, and Winston's going to tell him some sort of secrets about World War Two and things that went on.
Hitler and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's gonna share some of those apocryphal stories about his turns of
Good.
phrase. But I think it's going to end. It's going to be a bit of a quiet one. This one. It's going to end with Boris just passing out. He nods off. I think Boris does. He sort of he just falls asleep, like he's in the middle of a sentence. He's like, well,
Right.
yeah. He's going to say something about the Berlin Wall, and it's like, well, actually,
Yeah.
when the Berlin, and then that's it, and he just sort of goes to sleep.
Amazing. And then I imagine Winston maybe 60 seconds later does the same thing, but he's already been declared
Yeah,
victor.
exactly. That's exactly what would happen, and then they just have to sort of wheel them both out.
Fantastic. All right. So Winston Churchill's through. Next up, we've got Oliver Reed up against Orson Welles.
Okay. When I went to Malta in 2019, we didn't go to the pub. It's called the pub, where Oliver Reed drank himself to death and had a heart attack. A lot of people in there. They still have you can buy a T-shirt with the list of drinks that he bought at the bar, which I think is in bad taste. I'm not 100% sure.
Yes, yeah.
This is gonna be an interesting one. Two legends of Hollywood, but
Yeah.
I would say.
First thoughts. Who do you think is coming in as favourite?
I think it's got to be Reed. I think Reed's coming in as
Because they're
favourite.
both synonymous with drinking, aren't they? But yeah, I think Reed is possibly the favourite.
They're definitely both. They're both TV chat show drunks, which I think is quite the proper like late 20th century, where they would just be on TV chat shows and they would both be clearly inebriated and talking absolute tosh. I don't know whether you've ever seen Oliver Reed pull down his trousers and do that weird walk that he did across the stage. I think it was Michael Parkinson.
I haven't.
I can't even remember what the question is, but somebody asks him a question and then he just sort of goes, stands up, pulls his trousers down, and just shuffles across the stage with his trousers around his ankles.
Amazing.
It's something to see.
Okay.
I think he's going to I think what might be Reed's downfall is that he's down in pints. He's having pint after pint after pint. Well,
do you think perhaps bravado might be his undoing?
I think so. I think just because Wells is going to be able to take the volume. He's a big man, but he's out of shape. And for Reed, it's a full-time job, to quote Get Carter. So, yeah, I think pints. Can't think what Orson would be drinking. It's got to be something old Hollywood. He's probably having cocktails, actually. He's probably having some old cocktail that's like an old-fashioned maybe or something like that.
Like a Bellini or something?
Yeah,
something
maybe a Bellini. Yes, Bellini with champagne. Yeah, that sounds Orson-y. He's going to be blowing smoke. He's going to be blowing cigar smoke in Reed's face the whole time.
Smart.
Yeah, really trying to the more intoxicated he can get Reed, the more he's going to sort of puff up and get more and more belligerent and more and more belligerent. He keeps down in points, and I think in the end, Reed's just going to have to go and do a sick. He's going to do a sick.
Okay, so I mean, it was very slight favouritism, wasn't it? So we'd say an underdog has won that one as well, but really they were about evens, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. I think just because Wells's alcoholism was more under wraps than Reed, I don't think we could count him out at all. I don't think Wells would want to be beaten in anything.
No.
Least of all the drinking contest.
God, no. God, no. All right, next up, we've got George Best
George.
up against Paul Gascoigne. Gaza.
Ah. All right then, the footballs,
The footy
the
ballers, yes.
footballers. I mean, George has got to be favourite, hasn't he? Really,
I would have thought, yeah.
you know, you've got.
But Gaz has that tenacity, I think. He has that eagerness to please, to win people over. So he'll want to do his best. He'll want to perform well. But in terms of natural drinking ability, I think there's no question that George has the upper hand.
Yeah, you don't get through 2 livers without really committing to the cause, do you?
Absolutely.
I can't even think. I think they're both going to be drinking pints, aren't they? They're going to both be drinking pints.
Yeah, but maybe Gaz is on the Carlings, whereas George might be on the Guinness.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he's going for the heaviers, and yeah, the Guinness
But
is
obviously, whatever you drink, the other person has to drink.
exactly yeah. So the Guinness
yeah.
is going to have an effect on Paul. He
Exactly.
can't take that. He's weighed down as it is with the disappointment of his career.
Yeah.
So just adding Guinness to that is only going to ferment the problem.
Exactly. Whereas for Paul, for George, throwing a Carling in there, that's just diluting all the Guinness.
Yeah.
It's sobering up. If anything, he's sobering up every other drink.
Every other drink. I think at some point though, George is going to turn it into like. I'd say George is going to have to like put the gears up because he's going to want to go and get frisky with somebody. He's like drinking for like.
True.
George Best famously said that the best place to sit in a pub is outside the women's toilet, so that way you get to see every single person who's in the bar, because that's the sort of person George Best was. So yeah, he's going to turn it up. He's going to order something mental. He's going to order something like Lindsay Loaded.
Lindsay Loaded. Yeah,
Lindsay Loaded.
So he's going to want to finish it off quickly. More pressing issues, right?
So he's going to start turning it up, and I think 3 rounds into that, Gascoigne's done.
Gaz has had it. Fair enough.
He's tried to drink too quickly to impress George as well. He's been drinking too quickly as it's been going along. It's just not going to end well for him.
Fair enough.
And I think
Gaz cry out pure alcohol tears at the end.
I think so. I think Gascoigne just gives up as well. I don't think he's sick or falls asleep. He just cries and gives up.
And George Best puts a little shot glass under his tear ducts and slams it down.
Throws the glass behind him. Yeah, and then he just heads straight into the women's toilet. He doesn't even look back.
Absolutely. And he just shouts, "They named an airport after me!"
Exactly. It's the sort of thing he would say.
Yeah, exactly.
If he'd have lived to see it.
Well, luckily for him, he's back living
in here
through the Drinking Olympics. Alrighty, so we're halfway through the first round. Next up, we've got Ernest Hemingway up against Hunter S. Thompson.
Ooh, it's a good one. Ernie H versus HET. Okay. I don't think these two are getting on.
Okay, right. Rivals.
Yeah. I just don't think it's going to work. 2 different schools wouldn't see eye to eye I think Ernest would see Hunter's work as that of somebody who is enforcing himself on his literature and isn't really doing anything. I think Hemingway would be very much like, this is art. I've written art. I'm an artist. Hemingway famously got up every morning at like 6 o'clock to write, no matter how much he'd had to drink the night before. I think that was the famous.
Hemingway keeps referring to Hunter as a magazine columnist.
Yeah,
get under his skin.
Yeah, I definitely.
He's a gossip columnist.
Gossip columnist. Yeah, he's saying that. Yeah, he's Or like, you wrote that book that was made up memoirs, didn't you? It was just made up memoirs, and he's not happy about that. Keeps talking about Rolling Stone. Hemingway doesn't even know what it is. He just keeps saying it.
Hemingway keeps going like, "Oh, it must be nice to have all that time on your hands, though." Stuff like that.
Yeah, bragging about what time he gets up in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what's going to be the downfall here. I think Hunter's going to be supplementing his drinks with something else, but he's not going to be insisting because he's I think he believed in the rules in some sense, so he would only undermine himself by maybe taking some acid in the middle.
Yeah.
Doing something untoward. And I think that's going to cause that. So I think for drinks wise, Hemingway's on the whiskey again. Hunter's ordering a different drink every single time.
Yeah, of course, because he's just like free booze.
Yeah,
he's like, I'm making the most of this. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's ordering.
Hunter S. Thompson even orders a Hemingway cocktail.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've never tried one before, so.
Exactly, and he's going down the order of. He gets a list of the drinks and he puts them into order of which ones he hasn't drank, and then he puts them again into an order of the most expensive to the least expensive. So he's literally just working his way through the whole menu.
That's smart.
He was a man of experience, and I think it's going to be his downfall. He's going to, due to his LSD and due to the amount of different alcohols that he's got sloshing around his body so quickly.
Yeah.
He's going to have some sort of episode and he's going to run out screaming into the street and shoot somebody.
Okay, fair enough. So Hemingway's the victor.
Hemingway's seen it out.
I think that's to be expected, I think.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. All right, next up, we've got Alexander the Great.
Ooh, all right.
Up against Sultan Selim II. Famous. Do you know much about Sultan Selim II? Not his father.
Give me the greatest hits.
Ruler of the Ottoman Empire.
Okay.
1500s.
1500s. So they weren't
the drunkard.
Nice. Sounds.
Loved to drink.
Loved to drink.
I think he might have died by being drunk and falling over in the bath or something like that.
Okay. I presume Alexander the Great's on his horse, Bucephalus. Throughout this, he's on his horse in the bar.
Yeah.
His horse famously lived to be 80 years old or something. It was like he told everyone it was the oldest horse that ever lived. And all the people that he bought horses that looked exactly the same as Bucephalus never told anybody.
To this day.
Yeah. Just like, you got a horse that looks like this? Yeah, I think so. You're going to have to paint more brown on him. Okay, cool. Then I'll buy him. Right, Alexander. I mean, this is going to be old school now. They're just going to be drinking proper old herbal liqueurs and meady type drinks, I would imagine.
He's probably going to have to bring his own booze. This might be stuff that's not even available
to purchase
in the Olympic bar. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and that's allowed, is it? Is that we've got word from the invigilator and it is fine?
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Can confirm.
Okay. Considering this fella died due to an alcohol-related injury, we can assume with Alex being on his horse and bringing his own booze, that Sultan's the only one who's got to get up and go to the bar to get more drinks.
Interesting. Okay, interesting. Right.
I'm suggesting that the Sultan in it.
Table service is available.
Table service is available. Okay.
It is available.
All right. Well, he gets up to go to the toilet.
Okay.
Gets up to go to the toilet, and he's thinking, I know what will really rile Ali up.
ATG.
Yeah, the ATG himself. I'll get the horse to knock him off. He'll be gutted, and then I'll be like, "Oh, do you want another drink? I'll drink it, and then I'll win." That'll be easy pickings. Bit of a prankster, I would imagine. The Sultan.
Absolutely.
So he does it, but the horse kicks him square in the face. Because Busev never knocked off Alexander because they were like this.
Absolutely, he was glued.
He was glued to him. Yeah, that's what happens when you're on your horse in a bar.
Yeah.
So the Sultan's.
And then, do you know what Alexander the Great said to the Sultan after he did it? Why the long face?
Did it? Was that because his face had actually come apart because of the horse had kicked it so hard in it?
Yeah, because horses have long faces, but the horse kicked the Sultan, and Alex does like a Sultan walked into a bar. Why the long face? Or something like that. He's from fucking God knows where now.
He's from history. Yeah, stand up wasn't quite as good in the BC.
Yeah.
In the BC. Yeah. I reckon it would go down well though.
So ATG's the victor, you're saying?
ATG's taking it, mate. Easy.
Okay. Just got a couple more first round matchups, then we're on to the quarterfinals. Next up, we've got Jackson Pollock up against Vincent van Gogh.
Pollock versus Gogh. This is going to be a good one. This is like who's got less confidence.
Yeah.
I think. Actually, I mean, maybe you probably know more about Pollock than I do. He doesn't strike me as like. Was he very cocky? A cocky man?
Well, no, I imagine they're like drinking away social anxiety type people, aren't they?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking they're both going to be sat there. I don't think they're even facing each other.
Yeah,
they're like.
Well, but funnily enough, it's like pre-match interviews. They're like really tense. They're not confident at all. But then sometimes they have like mid-game interviews now. Like the drone cam comes in and goes, "How are you feeling?" He's like, "Yeah, actually, I'm feeling pretty fucking confident now."
Yeah. I can see Vinny doing that. It's the sort of behaviour of a man who would cut off his own ear, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like she's never going to like me. Actually,
I've got it.
Yeah, exactly. And the sort of bloke who would spit paint onto a canvas that he was stood on.
True.
I think they both Pollock's drinking some like 50s cocktail, like 50s, 60s cocktail. Van Gogh's not going to have the taste for it. He's just going to be on the standard stuff. Maybe
a bit of absinthe or something.
Yeah, I was thinking absinthe. Yeah, that would be enough. That'd be the loopy juice, wouldn't it? That'd be enough. Yeah. That'd be good stuff for him. I think it's going to be awkward. It's going to be awkward. We all know how Van Gogh ended, so he's definitely a bit of a quitter, and that's not to disparage.
Yeah.
God, you just stuck it out, Vinny. Maybe you'd have sold the painting.
Okay, yeah, but then Jackson Pollock's obviously very self-destructive himself. Maybe he's going to somehow foil his own efforts.
Oh, it's true. Maybe. No, you're right. You're right. That's what happens. It looks like Vinny's about to give in. He's like staring at the floor, and you're thinking, "There's no way that VVG is getting up for another drink." And then Pollock, as an act of art in pure pop art style, decides that he's going to make a canvas on the table, fingers down the back of the throat, and he's just done it all over the table. There's still chunks in it somehow, even though they've got through. I think this is probably the smallest amount of drinks. These two are getting through the smallest amount of drinks in the first round. And then Pollock's thrown it, absolutely thrown it.
Pollock throws the match, throws up, presumably goes and sells the painting for $100 million.
Yeah, he just takes the table outside, stands there, and just says, "Who will give me $1 million for this?"
Yeah,
And
just on the spot. Yeah.
and the bidding thus starts.
Oliver Reed. Yeah.
Yeah, Oliver Reed's
Okay.
great.
So Vincent through to the quarterfinal, and the last matchup. This could be a tough one. We've got Frank Sinatra
Frankie.
up against Andre the Giant.
This is a surprise. I never thought I'd see these two competing.
Yeah, neither did they.
They would have been, they would have been like at the same time. I'm presume they both turn up in their classic gear.
Yeah.
Frankie's in his tux. Andre's in his one shoulder.
Wrestling garb,
And I think it's going to be a difficult one. This, I don't think Andre's going to be chatting much.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be part of the mind games. I don't think Frankie could have done very well sat on his own, just think with his own thoughts.
No, I was wondering, do you think there's going to be any mafia chicanery at play?
I would say so.
Okay.
Frank keeps because no one's talking to him. He just keeps going because Andre's not saying anything. He just keeps having a chat in a word of this guy. There's a guy at the bar, same another black suit guy, and he just keeps going over and in his ear. Andre's just looking on, stoic. I think Andre's going to get a bit riled up at that.
Yeah.
Can't think what Andre's drinking.
Well, I thought something that might be Andre's downfall is he might not want to stick to the Olympic size drinks. So whilst I think Andre was a big wine drinker, so whilst he orders wine, they bring 2 glasses and Andre would be like, just give me the cask. So he'd be sort of, I wonder, I don't know.
So he's not competing by the rules, and inadvertently he's drinking far more than Sinatra.
Yeah, he's still drinking the amount required, but he's like, I can't wait for this little man to finish his drink. I need to have some more. I wondered if that might be a bit of a downfall for him.
I think you're right. I think Frank's going to take it easy, suave. He's not going to push. He's not going to push the boat out too much.
Probably.
Yeah. He's going to sit. He's going to wait it out until Andre. I'm imagining after a couple of casks, and Frank's only had to have glasses because that's the competition.
The rules.
It's a glass each, and Andre's down 2 casks. So even though he's drank far more alcohol per volume wise, he stands up and just flat out through the table. Frank jumps back, and then he just gives the call off to the mafia guys don't kill him, don't do it.
Okay. So it's a modern day alcohol version of David versus Goliath.
It's exactly that.
I love it. I think that's the underdog victory of the first round.
It's got it.
Frankie over the Giant.
Frankie over the Giant. Frankie and Goliath.
Frankie and Goliath. Alrighty, we're through to the quarterfinals.
This is good fun, isn't it?
Absolutely. So first quarterfinal, we've got Charlie Sheen up against Ernest Hemingway.
Charlie and Ernie. I think once again these two are rubbing each other up the wrong way. I don't know if there's anybody that Ernie could get on with.
Yeah, not since that broad died at the end of that book. She dies. Spoiler alert. What's it called? Farewell to Arms.
Farewell to Arms.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end, he should be glad. I mean, technically, he's got both of them.
I think he's farewelling her arms, or his unborn baby's arms. Don't read that book if you want to feel good. Everyone watching.
I think. So what are they going to do? It's Charlie and Ernie. I think Charlie's going to start off on the back foot. He's going to be wanting to like impress Ernie a little bit. He's going to go for drinks that he probably wouldn't normally drink, and then he's going to try and like, I don't know. He's probably got a story. He's probably been to a bullfight, hasn't he, Sheen? He probably starts talking about that. He's like, "Oh, I've been to a bullfight," and then Hemingway's like, "Yeah, right, then tell me about it." And he just completely dresses him down. Charlie's becoming more desperate. He starts to, they're getting ridiculous. The drinks he's drinking. He's just martinis.
Yeah.
Too much alcohol in them. Every single time, Ernie's like cooling it down, just having a whiskey. Sheen just keeps going, starts talking about 2.5 Men. That's when it really kicks off.
Oof. Ernest would not be happy.
No, and then then Sheen's showing him a bit on like YouTube on his phone.
Right.
And Ernie just knocks the phone out of his hand. Sheen's livid because he's lost the phone. The phone screen breaks, and he's like, all his dealers are still on there, and he's like, "Mate, what was that?" He just charges to the bar, orders a ridiculous concoction. It's not even a cocktail. He specifically said, just put everything in it, and he grabs it. He's like grabbing stuff from behind the bar and just pouring it in the drink himself.
Wow. Okay.
And he does the same for Ernest, but the levels aren't right. He takes him back, slams it in front of Ernest, downs this concoction that he's got, and he's out on a technicality.
God, the bloody sticklers at the IOC. They've outed him. They've given him the red flag.
They're giving him the red flag. It's just not on. He couldn't prove that it was the same as Ernest, and he therefore disqualified.
DQ.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Ernest through to the semi-finals. Next up, we've got Winston Churchill versus Alexander the Great.
Everyone's been waiting for this one.
Now we're talking.
Winnie v ATG. I think Churchill would have a sort of. He's probably ridden a few horses as well.
Oh, my words.
How?
I mean, with a tick of them or something? I don't know. A score out of 10? I don't know.
What are you thinking? When he's got...
I don't know. Because ATG only lived to, 32?
That's what I was thinking.
So he's going to have youth on his side. Winston's prime drinking years were probably when he was a bit later in life. So I wonder if that youthful exuberance is going to help, or if it's going to be just the literal experience.
Literal experience.
Youthful experience? Is that an expression? Yeah. Youthful exuberance?
Exuberance. Yeah. Youthful exuberance versus lived-in experience.
Lived-in experience. Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of chat about conquests here, isn't there?
Yeah.
I think Churchill's going to wear Great down by filling him in on all of the history of the British Empire.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's going to be an empire swinging contest.
Yeah, exactly. And he's going to really, really browbeat Alexander because Alexander's still thinking that he's the greatest. It's in the name.
It's in the name, exactly.
He's like, nobody did it better. Nobody could. And then Churchill's like, well, actually, and he goes through like all of them. He's like Genghis Khan, Queen Victoria. He's slapping all these names around and telling them about how really he's not as much of a trailblazer as he thought. He tells them about the Alexandrian Library being destroyed. He's got.
How's he take that?
He's not taking it well.
Gutted, I imagine.
He actually gets off the horse and gives the horse a drink.
Okay.
Bucephalus isn't happy. He sort of regrets it now. He's given Bucephalus a drink as well. He's paid for that one out of his own money, so it's not a DQ yet. But once off his horse, he's a mess.
Yeah.
He's got off, and whether it's through centre of gravity or something like that, but the world, he's got the double blurry vision, and it's waving everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Churchill gets one more. He sees the opportunity, goes in for it, straight for a double whiskey,
Bounces.
smashes it into ATG's hand, gives him the big cheers. Churchill takes a little sip.
Smart.
ATG, youthful exuberance, downs it, and it's straight back out again.
Okay.
In and out.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Winnie. Through to the semis. Next up, Orson Welles versus Vincent van Gogh.
What a great couple of fellas.
Good matchup, this one, yeah.
Yeah. Lot of fun. Orson's doing most of the talking, naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally. But he's loving the absinthe as well.
Yeah, okay.
He's absolutely loving it. Look, Vinny couldn't have chosen a worse drink to give to Orson.
Yeah. Orson just keeps sort of going, what is this? It's delightful. It's green. I love it.
It's great. Exactly. And he's having a lot of memories. He's talking about a lot of stuff. Van Gogh's been worn down as well. He keeps sort of looking off into the middle distance and framing things in his hand. Keeps framing little bits. Wells keeps bringing the attention back to him. Again, he's going with blowing the smoke in the face. He gets on about Citizen Kane. Starts talking about Citizen Kane. Starts talking about how painterly it is. How well he's constructed all the images in it.
You'd love it, Vincent. You'd love it.
Yeah. Giving him all that, and then he's like, "Oh, so what was your favourite work of art that you did, Vincent?" And then he's like, "Oh, maybe like Starry Night. I don't know. I'm not sure. It was all a bit." And he's like, "Oh, when did you paint that?" And Vincent says, "Oh, like my mid 30s, probably."
Yeah, why not?
Mid 30s. Yeah. And then Orson's like, "Well, I made Citizen Kane when I was 23." And Van Gogh, there's no coming back from that. He's crying and crying and crying. And
he's got it.
Yeah, he's got it. He can't get back up from that. Orson's doing the big show. Gets everyone over to have a bit of a laugh at Vinny because he's a showman. He's like, he can't believe it. 23. Have you seen this? And I think Vinny just quits. I think Vinny's just off.
Yeah, fair enough. Gets out, cuts the other ear off, gets out of there.
Exactly.
It was inevitable. All right, in the last quarterfinal, we've got George Best up against Frankie Blue Eyes Sinatra.
Oh, wonder if these two ever met each other in the reels.
They probably had a fair bit in common, didn't they?
Yeah, I would imagine that they were in the same similar circles in the 60s, I would imagine. George Best was a bit of a rock star, wasn't he, himself? This is going to be a civil. It's going to be civil. It's going to still be a bit of a dick swinging contest, I think.
Yeah, just talking about female conquests a lot and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so. Frank's going to start listing his wives.
His wife, yeah.
His wives. Ava Gardner.
Yeah.
I think George is gonna start wearing Frank down with the Guinness.
Okay.
Don't think Frankie's going to be used to the Guinness. What's Frank got up his sleeve though? What's Frank got up his sleeve? They've actually insisted that they stand next to the bar, I think.
I feel like Frank's creating a lot of chaos.
Yeah.
There's lots of deliveries coming in. There's a jazz band playing.
Yeah, he's facilitating a full effect.
There's lots of moving parts, and whether or not it's happening, George starts to get paranoid, I imagine. There's men in black suits, Stetson hats. Like, he's worried that maybe there's a hit out on him or he's going to be drugged or something like that. So I don't know if it's going to affect him enough to lose, but it is going to shake his confidence a little bit, I think. What happens from there, I'm not sure.
I think so. I think the brittleness of his ego could be seen here. He's obviously George Best obviously drank for a reason, and his confidence masks a very sort of unsure sensibility. I mean, maybe he pulls it out of the bag. Maybe he just does it. Maybe he just keeps hammering those Guinnesses, and I don't think drink for drink anyone's competing with George.
Yeah, okay, natural born competitor.
Natural born competitor. He's swimming through that third liver. Frank eventually takes one more sip of Guinness. He's tried everything. He's got everyone involved. Like you say, he's orchestrated the whole thing. And George is just, although he's been put off, he's just taking it in his stride, and he just keeps hammering through.
Amazing.
It's 5 o'clock in the morning, mate. It's 5. Frank is asked one of his guards to keep him awake, but the guard's fallen asleep. Frank's out 5 minutes later.
It's all done.
George is looking around going, where's my next drink? He's not
Who's
even...
next?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, does the final start now?
Yeah. Because I can carry on going.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't, George, because you've only just made the semi-final, mate. Calm down. So, first semi-final, Battle of the Heavyweights. We've got Ernest Hemingway up against Orson Welles.
Whoa. Again, these two could have met, couldn't they? Could they? No, they couldn't have. And Hemingway killed himself.
Yeah, they could have met.
Yeah.
I think when was... Oh, wait, when was Citizen Kane?
Yeah, 1940.
Yeah. I don't think Hemingway died till around 70, did he?
I think it might have been... Yeah, it might have been the 60s, isn't it?
60s, yeah, 61. Around 70.
Around 70. Closer than...
But yeah, they had plenty of chance to meet.
Okay, this is... what's this one going to be like? What we got? I think Ernest is getting a bit sick of it by now.
Yeah.
Like, he just wants to get back to the boat, doing what he does best. Orson's in his element.
Yeah. Ernest doesn't like, he's like, the Olympics, it's a corporation. I'm being sort of controlled here. He's rebelling against all that sort of stuff. Orson loves the attention. He doesn't mind.
Exactly. I mean, Orson's just playing. Every single person is the audience for him, isn't it? So he's just going to keep playing it up. And the more he can get out of it, the better. Like, it's not going to end for him. He's just going to have a bloody good laugh.
Absolutely.
Orson's going to maybe start talking about adapting Hemingway.
Okay, yeah.
He's like, I could do this. And he starts talking it through. Hemingway retorts and he's like, you've not made anything good since Citizen Kane. He's like, Magnificent Ambersons. And he's like, no. And Wells, he's getting a bit red-faced here.
Okay.
He's getting don't know if he can stand it. He keeps on with the adaptation. I think at this point Hemingway just pulls out a gun. I think he gets tasered by the security. Okay. He's pulled out a gun. He's gone absolutely ape. He's pulled out a gun. He's got tasered. They sort of give him... They give him a grace period of 15 minutes to get out of it. And unfortunately, he just doesn't get up in time.
Doesn't do it. Awesome.
Who knew?
Through to the final.
Who knew?
That's a great effort from Orson Welles. All right, and who's he going to take on in the final? Winston Churchill or George Best?
What a pair of drinkers.
Absolutely.
I think these two are getting on. These two are both thinking, oh, we're the pride of the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Winston would he have? I mean, they would have been around similar sort of time. I think Winston's cajoling over the first couple of Guinnesses. He's cajoling Best for not playing for England.
Right. Yeah.
And talking about Northern Ireland, and he's going into all that, and it's like it's getting a bit.
Yeah.
it's getting a bit like Good Friday agreements there. It's like
because you get once Winston's all like the United Kingdom, and once he's had a few, he's like, it's really England that I like. I don't really give a shit about the other ones.
exactly. I think that inherent racism, is going to just pervade. It's going to start to pervade the conversation, isn't it?
It'll pervade everywhere.
It'll pervade everywhere. It's pervading all over the drinks.
It'll be pervading all over the bar.
It's not nice. It's not nice. George is coming back though. He's bragging about his conquests as well. And although him and Frank could go toe to toe on that front, when he's not happy, he's very, very jealous. I think the black dog's going to visit him. The black dog of his depression. Winston's going to start lamenting.
Oh golly, okay.
That bluster's turned into lament. I think he's getting a big cigar out at that point. He's going to start honking that cigar, coughing. He realises that he's missed his afternoon naps the last few nights because he only got 3 hours, and he always went to bed at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon for an hour. And he looks at the time. He starts to think that all this is beneath him. I think he just packs off.
That's it. Yeah.
He's done. He's like, I've got better things to do.
Yeah. It's a generational thing. He's like, this is a young man's game. I'm out.
Yeah. He's going to go and write another Nobel Prize winning book. Which I believe he did.
He did, yes. All right. That just leaves us the final.
Oh my God. We're here.
For the
Drinking
championship.
Olympics final. Drinking Olympics final.
Orson Welles.
Orson.
Up against George Best.
I think we all thought George was going to be here. Not sure about Orson. Who did you have for the final?
Yeah, I mean, once Frankie upset Andre the Giant in the first round,
You thought he was going all the way?
and my other pick was Ernest. So Ernest got upset. Maybe not upset, but Ernest got beat in the semi-final. George was certainly up there. You just naturally assume that the bigger person can drink more, but George is like an athlete, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And he turned his athlete from being an actual athlete to a drinking athlete. It just turned straight away, didn't it? I think this goes to show as well that the attitude of the competitors is so important.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? You've got to be in this. Like both of these two have got here by living in the moment and just really going for it and not really caring about anybody else.
Yeah. Here's the thing I'm wondering. Does George Best know who Orson Welles is? Has he sat down and gone, I thought this was a celebrity drinking contest, or is he...
I think neither of them know who each other is.
Yeah. I'm with you.
It's the first time in the whole championship that the person sat next to the other person and gone, I don't know who this is at all.
Yeah.
And they're just sort of dumbfounded. They don't even know how to play.
Okay, so this could end up a pure drink off then.
I think it will. I think this is really what the Olympics is all about. It's drinking in its purest form. It's just toe to toe. They get to know each other a bit. Just like, you made a few, and then Orson can play it down a little bit. He's not having to give the bluster that he needed to give against somebody like Hemingway, where he needed to big himself up, and George doesn't have to act like Frank Sinatra. They just get to know each other on a human level.
Yeah, okay. So this could be a positive PR story for the Olympics.
Yeah.
The gold medal match ends in a friendship as well as a victory for someone.
Yeah, and they probably take that into, Orson might make a film about George Best. You don't know.
Perhaps, yeah.
Could be he could got like The Man by the Women's Toilet or something. It could be called something like that.
Yeah. I see all the women.
Yeah,
because I sit by the toilet. Something like that,
yeah. I see all the women. It's not as catchy a title as that, but yeah, I see what you mean. Time to flush. No, maybe not.
Stories from a toilet door.
noises from the cubicle.
Noises from the cubicle.
But yeah, they go toe for toe. George sticks to the Guinness still. He's not He's not changed his tactics the whole time. He's just stuck to it. Orson's on the Bellinis. They're a bit gassy for best, but he sticks with it. I think Orson's enjoying the Guinness as well. It keeps going. I think it's one of those classic finals. It's like the FA Cup final. It's a bit defensive, but they feel each other out for quite some time.
Right.
And by the time it's getting good, I think Orson's just run out of steam.
Amazing.
I think Orson's just he's. I think if anything, it's the fact that they did have to get to know each other and they had to make that sort of connection. He didn't quite get to turn the showman on in him.
Right.
And because of that... Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think he was a bit taken aback when he found out that George was born after Citizen Kane was released.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, you're right. He lost his bluster. He didn't have that natural, the ego to boost him on.
Yeah, I think exactly. And without that, his facilitation for drinking is purely fluid intake. It wasn't charging up the brain cells. So in the end, he runs out a bit of steam, and I think George plays it safe, goes quiet for a few minutes, pops to the toilet, of course, either gender, and when he comes back, old Wellesley's asleep.
He's asleep.
Yeah, he's fast. He's a goner.
He's put his hat on. He's tilted it over his eyes. He's put his feet up on the table, and he's just written a note. He says, "Well done, old boy," and he puts it on the table. And he's like, he's got his silver medal around already.
Exactly.
Good kid.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. George Best has won the drinking Olympics. I'll say this much: I was gonna make it 32 competitors. Pretty glad that we didn't do that.
You know what? If we had another couple of hours, I'd happily have sat there and done the rest, because that was a fantastic game of hypothetical, dramatic situations.
Absolutely.
And I bloody loved it.
Good stuff. You were very good. You were a very good competitor or commentator.
No.
Well, all right. I think that's about us for alcohol. You got anything else to add?
I don't think I had. We didn't have time for the 7-minute RPG again, but we'll just have to find out what happens to Bob when we pick him up in Portsmouth, in Iceland, in Portsmouth next week.
Yes. Okay. Should we save it for next week? Yes. Good thinking.
Yeah, I think so. It wasn't. Alcohol wasn't particularly facilitating a good time for Bob. So
Bob's not much of a drinker, is he? So
no, he's a bit too steadfast. But this was excellent. I enjoyed it no end. And I'll see you back here next week.
Absolutely. We'll be back next week with a new random word. Until then.
Ciao.